Morning, Harvest. Right on. Hey, before we jump into the word, just want to take a moment for what we would probably call a family chat. Past Sunday night, we had a members meeting where we talked a lot about where we are as a church. We walked through a bit of our finances and our budget. And while we're not going to go through the whole thing with you this morning because there's not enough time for that, I do want to give you a bit of a high-level view so you understand some of the stuff we were able to talk about last Sunday night. Just a quick, let's start here, the first slide. We talked a bit about where God has taken us this year, a recap of where we've been as we look to where we're going. And you see here, God has been so kind and gracious to us, the church. So last August, our average attendance would be about 440. We're now averaging this last quarter, 630 people on a Sunday morning. And so that's incredible. I mean, it's 43% growth. It's 190 more people. Like, God is doing a work in us and through us, and we're pretty excited. Yeah, you can clap for that. So what does that mean? Because we're not just about gathering a crowd. We want to raise up people in knowing who Christ is and discipleship. And so discipleship, we're just going to look through what last year looked like. 28 people baptized, 111 people in small groups, life groups, Bible study groups, 46 new members out of the church. And we have this year a new ministry that really kind of took ground was our young adults ministry. And every Thursday night, there's about 40 young adults that are gathering upstairs here at our church. So again, just excited what God's doing there. Our family ministries, we have grown in our Harvest Kids by about 40 kids being added there. And our youth ministry that continues to grow, there is a new youth leadership program we've developed there, that there's some key leaders have come along and said, hey, we want to take these students and pour more into them as they lead. With Aaron as our intern, he was able to initiate some new outreach ministry we had, new training for our youth to what does it look like to be the hands and feet of Jesus into our community. And then our Moms and Tots, which we started a couple years ago, but it's just been taking root and seeing every Monday right here, a group of moms and their kids coming and playing and getting to know each other, building community, inviting others from the community into that. We're just excited what God's doing. Stewardship, what we've seen in the last year, giving has gone up by 13% over the year, 128 people serving as volunteers in our church. Our missions giving increased by 25%, money that goes out of here to local and global missions. And then benevolence, we see a raise this year, 17,000 or more going into helping people in times of need or struggle. So just super excited what God's doing. I just give a clap again, just thankful. Just thankful what God is doing. Quickly about our finances then as we go into that. A financial summary so you understand where we've been before we talk a bit about where we're going. Our fiscal year as a church isn't January to December like normally your fiscal year would be. We've shifted it to being August 1st to July 31st because that fits better the rhythms of our ministries. So our fiscal year will start again August the 1st. The budget we had for this past year, 25-26, was $848,000. We're forecasting to the end of July, we'll probably spend $871. So spending more than we had budgeted, but if you go back to we won't do that, but if you went back to the first slide, you could probably get an idea why we're a bit over in our budget. This is not staff misspending. It is us trying to keep up with the growth of our church, and things we've had to add in because of that have brought us to still being tight with our finances. It still brought us to that number. We're forecasting the end of the year, the giving part, by God's grace, far above the need, which is great, what we've been spending. And so we're looking at about $940,000 to $950,000 at the end of the year will have come in through giving. Now, if you get our e-news, you might be going, wait a minute, isn't our giving already over $1 million? How are you saying we're projecting this? We're not including in that number what we would call special gifts. Throughout the year, there's been this year a couple of one-time really big gifts, and we didn't want to base our operations on those kind of gifts because you don't know, are they coming every year? When's it going to happen? So we would take those funds and use them for special projects or for things that are outside of the just regular operating costs of the ministry we do here. All right, on to the next slide. Part of what I just talked about, as money comes in that way, one of the things we have been using it for is making sure that our mortgage on this building, that we have a plan to eliminate this mortgage at a accelerated pace. The original amount of the mortgage was $929,000. If we were to stick with the payment plan of 15 years, we would end up spending $1.45 million. So that's your interest fees, right? A lot of money just in interest that we don't want to spend because we want to save finances to use it for ministry instead of just interest payments. And so we have a plan to pay off the mortgage by December 31st, 2029. By paying, the mortgage company gives us a 20%, you can pay without penalty, 20% of your principal that year. You can pay without being penalized. And so last year and looking to this year, we want to put another $130,000 into that before December so that we can bring that mortgage payment down. If we do that, we'd be just over $500,000 for our mortgage. So that's exciting. We would. Now, when you say we can only pay 20% without being penalized, if you would like to pay off the whole mortgage today, please, we will take that penalty. So after the service, just meet me out there. We'll cover this mortgage and be done, right? We are praying that the Lord does take this. We love the building, love what God's provided through this, but we also recognize the amount of money that we would spend on interest. We'd rather spend on mission and ministry, amen? So we're looking to see that be paid down quickly. All right. As we move into next year, what does our budget look like as we look into this coming year? The budget would be, that we're looking at for 2027 would be $950,000 for next year. Reason for that growth, as you can imagine, just to support the growth that's happening in our church. We want to continue to keep up with what the Lord is doing, and so we figure that's a good, reasonable, wise amount for us to hit. On top of that, we have in our budget another $45,000 that we would add on to that as capital expenses. Things that we want to do to make ministry happen more easily. Some of it might be our foyer to make it a more welcoming space, or the things we could do there. Some of it has to do with improving what we do for video, because we're launching we have a small group that meets in North Bay right now as we look towards planting a church in North Bay, and they're using video as their way to get started. So the things we could do to make that better. So that 45 we're not including in the budget because that's only if our giving allows us to do it. So we'll hold off on spending if we can't reach that giving. What does that mean? Well, 2026, our average giving, as you can see, was 17.7 a week. To hit this budget, we would need 18.3. So not a huge jump in giving, but enough that we'd be able to cover the 950. If we want to do everything that we're seeking to get done, then it would be 19 a week. So I say all that to say this, that our church growth, if you look at a graph, is doing this. Our church giving has kind of not keeping up with growth like that. I'm not saying that as what the heck are you doing? I'm just saying to give you hey, just so you know, and just pray. Pray. If you call this your home and you'd be like, hey, how can I support what's going on here? That would be amazing to see us hit what we want to see God use us for in this coming year. As we plan these budgets, I do want you to know this, that we are blessed with a finance team that is so helpful in providing us with good wisdom on this, and we're growing our finance team hopefully into this next season. The finance team will provide monthly updates on where we are at financially so that our staff can be good stewards of what they have to meet their budgets and whatnot, and so their elders can have a good eye on how things are going. It's been helpful having a finance team to be able to, in the last couple of years, build a 1-month operational bank account. So we have enough money that we're not like scraping by every month. Can we pay staff? Can we pay our bills? So we have a nest egg of that. And then a 3-month contingency bank account that we'd be able to build up. So that if something comes that we're in trouble, we've got those savings as well. So just thankful for a finance team that's brought good stewardship wisdom to us, and looking forward to what God has for us in the new year as we continue to increase. How much more can we spend on missions into our town and into the nations? What does it look like to plant a church in North Bay? All of that, entrusting it to the Lord. If you have any questions about the financial part of our church or the mission and vision of our church, please grab one of our elders. Dan Dzikowicz has been super helpful. He likes to hide behind the keyboard, but he's also a brilliant guy as it relates to finances. He would probably say, don't ask me any questions, but I'll put him on the spot. Ask Dan questions. And as we build the finance team, you're going to get to see them more and more to understand who are the people you can talk to who would get you good answers to this stuff. And then other than that, I would say this, just pray. God, would you use our church to reach more people with the good news of the gospel? That we would turn this town upside down. for Jesus, that we would go to the nations to see more people who are lost saved, more saved people matured, more mature people multiplied for God's glory.